You can think of this video as a quiz question video. In other words, what I want to know before we meet next time for class is what is measurement A? So let me explain that question in a little more detail by first looking at the handout for the project, um, which you're really not even required to look at until now, but it'll help me explain this question better. So it says when you do this project, this full bleed project, you will mount it on a 15 by 20 black map board so that there is equal distance on all sides of each document. So that means that if this is your black map board, this black area here, and then this is your 8.5 by 11 document that came out of the printer, and this is your 7 by 9 trimmed version that came off of the printer. How much space will be between here and here, between here and here, and between here and here if they are all equal? For some people, the visual's better. For some people, to see it in writing, it's better. For those of you who weren't very good at math, this unfortunately is one of those story problems. Now, what I would suggest is pause the video right now, try to figure it out with what I already gave you, then come back. I'm not going to give the answer out here. I'll give it out in our class meeting. I'll first ask if you've got it, and then help anyone out who couldn't get it. But I'll come back after the pause, and I will just give you some alternate ways to think about it. Okay, so let's start to break this down. Like your math teacher might have told you, when you've got a story problem, you got to pull the important numbers and the important numbers only out of the story. So we don't care for measurement A how tall the document is. All we care about is the widths. So the board is 20 inches wide. The print on the left is 8.5 inches wide. The print on the right is 7 inches wide. Now see, with that information, if you can figure out it, and if you can't figure that out, try to just figure out what's left. So in other words, you have 20 inches of total space. 8.5 is taken up by one print, and 7 is taken up by the other. So hint, hint, you could do this with a calculator. If that helps you. It's basically a subtraction problem, but it's not the kind of subtraction problem that's as straightforward as trying to figure out, let's say, let me just show you back here. If I was asking you to figure out what was left here and here, that's a much easier subtraction problem because all you have to do is subtract this distance from this distance. But in our case, looking at the widths, we have to take this whole distance, 20 inches, and our subtraction becomes subtracting 8.5 from it, and then subtracting another 7 from it. And by far the best way to do this, if you can't get it with just the visuals, get it with the real thing. Grab a board that's 20 inches wide, even if you have to make one up out of a piece of cardboard or something, or taping several pieces of paper together until you get 20 inches wide. Then get a standard 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and then cut another piece of paper to 7 inches. And if you push both of those to one edge of the paper and measure what's left over, you get what the theory was that I explained with the calculator. That might look something like this. You take your 20-inch piece, put it down on the table, put your 8.5 by 11 piece down, push it all the way to the far edge, then take your 7-inch wide piece, push it right up against this one, and then you're just going to measure what's left over here with your ruler and then think about what you need to do with that leftover space, which would be, again, a math thing. You've got 3 areas that you need to divvy that space up. And after you've come up with what measurement A is, just be ready to tell me in our next Zoom meeting. Now, if you can figure out B and C, great. I'm more concerned about A because B and C, or in other words, any type of measurement where there's only one area to divvy up, or in other words, you move this all the way to the top and measure, you come out with one area here, and then you just have to divide that by 2. That's easy. Also, I go into it in great detail in the upcoming videos that'll be assigned for the Full Bleed project. Okay, so that's it for this video.